Good afternoon. Welcome back to the veranda. It's been a minute, but we're back. As you know, my reason for doing this is um, around election time, there are many forums and debates and this and that, and meet and greets and all that. But I want to give the constituents the opportunity to see the candidate on a more personable level. Get to see them kind of one on one because there are a lot of people that can't go to the forums, they cannot go to the meet and greets, they cannot donate, but they do vote. So sit back, relax, listen, take notes so you'll know who the best candidate is. Today, my guest is Van Turner. Welcome to the veranda.
Thank you. It's good to be here with you.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born in Whitehaven. I was actually born at St. Joseph's Hospital. Yeah. So St. Joseph's Hospital is now St. Jude.
Yep.
Correct. I was born in 75. An interesting note about me is that I was born on February 1st, 1975 at 4 p.m. 1 year earlier, on February 1st, 1974, at 4 o'clock p.m., my parents were married. So I was born 1 year later to the exact time.
So they kind of sort of knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
They kind of figured that out.
That's right.
Do you have any siblings?
I have a sister. She was born 2 years after me in 77. And we were raised in the Whitehaven community. My mother is out of the Mississippi Delta, Indianola, Sunflower County.
She's a country woman.
She a country woman.
Okay.
Yeah, Sunflower County.
I've been to Sunflower.
Yeah. They were, the main home down there was on B.B. King Road, because you know that's where he's from. My grandmother had 12 children. So my mother was one of 12. All of her brothers and sisters attended the HBCUs down there. So my mother is an Alcornite. She went to Alcorn. My aunts and uncles went to Valley, Jackson State, so on and so forth. So she came to Memphis to get her master's, and she started teaching in Hamilton. And that's where she met my father. My father's family hails from Durham, North Carolina, by way of Collierville. My great-grandfather, J.B. Turner, was the utility man for Collierville. And he's in papers, if you go back and look at some of the old journals, they reference J.B. Turner of Collierville. So Durham, North Carolina, Collierville, Tennessee, to Lemoyne Gardens, where my father was born. And so essentially he had two brothers and a sister. The two brothers and sister attended Booker T. Washington, but by the time he had grown up, he was the youngest, the family moved to Binghamton, and he graduated from Leicester.
Wow. So let me ask you this. You have a background that reflects, in my opinion, Black history.
Right.
Okay. Now, a lot of people might not look at things the way I do, and I really don't care how you look at it, but be educated in whatever you do. But anyway, what piqued your interest in politics?
It's a good question. So in Indianola, I think that's House District 31. My cousin, Bill Richardson, was the first Black person to win that House seat. And
he just run for office here?
Oh, no, he's passed now.
Oh, okay, but then somebody named Richardson.
Will Richardson.
Okay.
Yeah, this was Bill Richardson. He was the first Black person to win that seat. And I remember his phrase, it was on all of his cups and shirts. He said, from the cotton fields to Capitol Hill. That was because they all had been sharecroppers and picked cotton back then. And so I worked on his campaign as a kid. I remembered his campaign. Unfortunately, he passed from lung cancer after serving for 10 years. And then my aunt took it over, my mother's sister. And she held that seat for probably 2 decades or so. And she retired not long ago. So that was a pivotal moment that really piqued my interest in politics. And then here, as I was growing up in Whitehaven, I became involved in NAACP Youth Council. When I became involved, Ben Hooks was the national president. Maxine Smith ran the local chapter.
And those were powerful.
Yes, ma'am. Jesse Turner Sr. was around. Basco Smith was around. Johnny Turner was there. And we grew up under them as part of the youth council. And I remember vividly knocking on doors and putting signs in yards for Representative Larry Turner, who was Johnny Turner's husband. And he represented House District 85. So that was another key moment in my life when I said, hey, I like what they're doing. They're giving back. They're connecting with the people. They're helping the people in their time of need. And it really, made an impression with me. They assisted with folks getting their lights cut on. They assisted with young people who were going off to college and needed a helping hand. You saw them cleaning up the community, addressing the concerns of the community. And so you really learned about serving your constituents. And I really thought that was something that was admirable. It was something that I thought that I would like to do one day. And so that was as a teenager. I went off to Morehouse College, taught English in Japan for 2 years, in Tsurushi, Yamanashi-ken, Japan.
What'd you say?
So Tsurushi is the city, Yamanashi-ken is the state.
What positions have you held?
So I held the position of Democratic Party chair from 2009 until 2011. This was during the Barack Obama years when he was in the White House. I've been a county commissioner, elected in 2014, re-elected in 2018. I am the immediate past president of the NAACP Memphis branch. I'm currently the general counsel for the Tennessee Conference of the NAACP. I'm also president and CEO of Memphis Green Space, which is the nonprofit organization that took down 2 Confederate monuments, Bedford Forrest and Jefferson Davis.
So this was sad. What prompted you to want to get that statue out of there?
My father. So my father recounted stories of growing up in Jim Crow, Memphis, sitting at the top of the theaters, going to the back of restaurants, riding on the back of the bus. And that park, which was known as Forest Park, was a park that our taxpayers' dollars paid for, but black folks couldn't enjoy that park. And it hurt him to see white kids playing in that park, and he couldn't play in that park. So when I took down Forrest at exactly 9:01 p.m. on December 20th, 2017, and he was the first call I made, and he and I both cried because he never thought it would happen.
Memphis is going to hell in a handbag. You can blame it on the mayor, you can blame it on the commissioner, you can blame it on the police, you can blame it on whoever you want to blame it on. I have my personal people that I want to blame it on. My personal thing was giving everybody the right to get a gun. I have an issue with that because now they just willy-nilly with the guns. But Memphis has so many problems that I think city government thus far has not addressed. Those starting with crime. People scared to come out their house. And then if you come out your house, you better be strapped. And that's sad, but that's the way it is. Number one, I think there are no more big mamas. You know, back in the day, you had big mamas and Miss Sally, Miss somebody, if you did wrong. Come here, boy. I'm finna whoop you and I'm finna take you home, and then your mama gonna whoop you when dad get home. We ain't got that no more. So now you got these kids being raised by kids being friends with parents. That doesn't work. So what do you think is the wherewithal to end crime? I don't think it can be ended. I think that there are resolutions or things that need to be set up in place for something to offset the crime. What's your opinion on solving crime in Memphis?
I think you're absolutely right. The approach that I've sort of put forth is a three-pronged approach that deals with suppression, intervention, and prevention.
Explain.
Suppression means you have to suppress the crime so that people are safe and they feel safe. We need more officers to get back to community policing. And we also need to make sure that our officers are well trained, because we don't want them to repeat what was done to Tyree Nichols. So there's a fine line between having our officers be tough on crime, but you can't kill and maim innocent people. Intervention at the Boys and Girls Club at Craig Month. Boys and Girls Club went into Craig Month, had a mentoring program. Young people after school will go into the Boys and Girls Club. 100% graduation rate for all the young people who went into the Boys and Girls Club program, as compared to a 73% graduation rate for those who did not go into Boys and Girls Club. 30% difference. Intervention, our young people can go left or right. We need mentors, we need programs, we need wraparound services, we need support to make sure that if they interface with the criminal justice system once or twice, we got to step in with mentorship and intervention programs to get them back on the right track. That's sort of your middle school, high school. But then we all know that it starts when they're young. So that's where prevention comes from. 4th and 5th grade reading levels. If our young people are not on grade for reading, they become truant because they don't understand what's going on in school, so they don't go. You become truant more and more consistently, then you drop out. Once that young person has dropped out, we know where they're headed. Now, I think underlying all of this is poverty. And what I mean by that is it's almost like a formula. You disinvest from a community, you don't put the resources in Black communities, but you take those resources elsewhere. You don't put the time and attention into community centers, schools. You can go to a school in this neighborhood and you see what it looks like, but you can go to a school out in East Memphis or Germantown, it's a palace, it's palatial. The bathrooms are so clean, you could lay out a mat and go to sleep at the Bartlett High or Arlington High bathrooms, but you come to Hamilton, Mayoral, Whitehaven, you go to any of these high schools and they're falling apart. So what does that tell the young person? I've seen it with my own eyes. We go to a game at Melrose or Whitehaven or Kirby, you can't even go into the bathroom of some of these places because
so speaking of
what has happened.
They're supposed to, I'm not sure if they've done it yet. I graduated from Melrose.
Yeah.
Wildcats. So, you couldn't even use the bathroom. The kids didn't even have, the football players didn't even have a room.
A locker room.
A locker room.
Now, when you take these kids out to Arlington, Germantown, Bartlett, and they see what's going on with those kids, you know psychologically what it's doing to these young people. You're committing violence.
Then, by letting them see that.
Letting them see that, and by asking them to learn and matriculate and succeed in an environment in which we've not invested.
So why is it? Now I'm going to pose a question to you that you might can answer, you might not. Why is it that these type issues are never addressed with city government? And what I mean by that, I'm going with Liberty Park. Yes, sir, I'm coming for Liberty Park because I'm a Coliseum supporter. Save the Mid-South Coliseum. Stay tuned. The city government has taken all these properties and older properties, shined them up, redid it. Sears Crosstown.
Yeah, right.
Spectacular. They built Liberty Park. Now, I have a personal issue because here's my thing with Liberty Park. I'm not against Liberty Park. But if you're going to do that, why you want to insult the community of Orange Mound and come back and say, Well, we're going to put a soccer field over here, too. That's an insult. That's a slap in the face. Like, we got to have a place for Billy Bob and Jimmy and Mary Ann to play. And for their parents to come in from out of town and see them play in a soccer field or see them play in a tournament. But where Chandria and Laquan going to go? So my thing for the Coliseum was, let's save the Coliseum. It's a multi-purpose building. They want to put a soccer field over the Coliseum. On the Coliseum,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, we submitted a plan for, I think it was 6 or 7 other locations where they can put a soccer field.
Right.
But give us the Coliseum, help us redevelop it. Well, you don't have a plan. We came forth with a plan. So I personally have met with not all, it's 3 city council people I have not met with. I've met with others, and some are supportive, but I understand the functions of politics. They can't come out right now. And that's the thing about politics. Politics is chess, not checkers.
Right.
And that's where a lot of people make their mistakes. They think they're playing checkers. Nah, baby, you got to anticipate the move that the person you're dealing with going to move before you do. So, how do you feel about the Coliseum?
I graduated from the Coliseum. I saw some of the greatest concerts of my childhood at the Coliseum. New Edition, old school New Edition, came to the Coliseum. And so it holds a special place in my heart, as well as the hearts of many Memphians. So does Liberty Land. So does going there for the fair in the fall.
Fair and the pimping and the whole meal.
I mean, so we've lost so much of our childhood, and people want to know or try to figure out what's going on with our young people. What is there to do? What
do they do?
Look what we had. We had Liberty Land in the summer. We had the fair in the fall. We had the Mid-South Coliseum for wrestling and other activities.
That was the first place that was integrated for blacks.
Right.
And that's why it's a personal thing for me.
Yeah.
The convention was held there.
Absolutely.
And, that's why it's a personal thing for me.
Absolutely.
Now, so my next question is, with this blue city, did we address that? No, not kind of sort. How do you feel about that? How do you think that's going to bring jobs to Memphis?
Yeah. We haven't seen this economic boom in this city like what we see in Blue Oval for 50 years. What happened in 50 years? 50 years ago. In 1973, FedEx moved to Memphis. 50 years ago. And we see the economic impact of FedEx to Memphis. This will rival that for West Tennessee, and Memphis is the capital of West Tennessee. We're the capital of the Mid-South. So however goes Memphis, so goes, I think, Blue Oval. So Ford needs to have a vested interest in Memphis doing better. The state needs to have a vested interest in Memphis doing better. Your workforce is coming from Memphis. All of the amenities, basketball games with the Grizzlies, shows at the Orpheum, your airport, all of that comes through Memphis. And so Ford Motor Company needs for Memphis to be successful, and we need for Ford Motor Company to be successful. That stretch of 40 highway between Memphis and Jackson will be unrecognizable in 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
You're talking about hotels, gas stations, all kinds of various activities for people to do between Jackson and Memphis now, with Blue Oval right in the middle. We have to seize this opportunity as a community. We have to train our young people to make sure that they are able to avail themselves of those $70,000 a year jobs, starting salaries. And we have to do what it takes to make Blue Oval successful, but also to allow it to make Memphis successful. and that's non-negotiable. We got to seize this opportunity. We got to start training our young people in the high schools now. We need to find out what Blue Oval needs and wants and make sure we're catering to those interests and that our young people are learning the skills that they need to learn to get a job at Blue Oval. If Blue Oval has to ship in workers, then we've all failed. Those should be the jobs for us.
Does not take the city government does not take the right choice, make the right choice. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Right. We can't lose this opportunity. The mayor should be sitting with the superintendent, board of education, for a motor company, and we ought to triage this. We need to be figuring out what you need, how can we give you what you need, and that needs to go ripple down to Mayorals, to Whitehaven, to Kirby, to all of our schools, Oak Haven, all of our schools in North Memphis, and we need to be training our young people for the jobs of the future.
So, here's a question that I have prepared to ask you. I will be interviewing other candidates, and there's certain questions that I'm gonna ask each and every one of y'all. And this goes true to form. The infrastructure in the city of Memphis is terrible. I look at how storm came through. Memphis got over 600 million, I believe, contract with people to cut the trees. My figures might not be right, but I'm close. So every time the power goes out, trees fall, people are without lights. I'm speaking close to heart, and that's Orange Mountain. They go out, they lose power. I go to other cities and I see where they have underground lines. Now, Doug McGowan explained how much it would cost to well, hell, look at the bills we paying. Yeah. And I wish, I was hoping and praying that after this storm, I said, let me hear of somebody that got their lights cut back on after being out for a week, and then they wouldn't give them an extension on their bill and cut it back. I would have been on the front line for that person. Now, I do think that the infrastructure is outdated, and that's nothing that's been addressed. Yeah, they cover the streets with tar, they fix the pothole, but the problem lies underneath. You see where that pothole fell this morning? I saw that. That's supposed folks have been driving, and that's gonna get bigger. Yeah. And that just shows you how deep it is. Folks gonna be driving down the street and see it and just fall in the ground. So, what are your plans for infrastructure?
That's a great question. And as you know, the mayor appoints the president and CEO of MLGNW, and the mayor appoints the board for MLGNW, the 5-member board. So the mayor has control as far as the leadership of MLGNW, and MLGNW has to bring their budget to city council for it to be approved. Correct. So city council has to play as well. Our infrastructure is aging, and we should have addressed this issue years ago. Now we are suffering the consequences of not jumping on infrastructure early, and that just always seems to be the issue. We only plan for the here and now, but not for 5 and 10 years down the road of how we want our city to look, and we got to make the investment early. And sure, you or I may not be here, but we are investing in a city for our kids and grandkids, and we ought to want that. So I say, let's get the resources that we need, go to our most challenged communities and start there. We need to bury the power lines. We need to get to our pipes and take those deeper. Let's not forget about this past December. The whole week of Christmas, we were without water. The pipes are frozen and burst.
And speaking of water, my water tastes funny. I'm not just saying that, but my water, I bought some bottled water, but my water don't taste like water.
Like it used to.
And maybe I'm being paranoid, but my water, I fixed me some ice water. I used my ice that I had in the freezer and ran me some water that I had in my kitchen in the ice box. And I poured it with 2 different tastes.
Yeah, when you got the Germantown issues, but you don't know what's happening here.
They light a match on the water.
Yeah. I don't know, but that
somebody told me you light a match with the water, kids are open.
There's so much gasoline. But look here. How far away are we from a crisis like that? See what I'm saying? And so we have to start addressing infrastructure now, cutting back the tree limbs, burying the power lines, insulating our pipes and taking those pipes deeper into the ground. We got to do it now before the storm comes, because we know the storms are coming. We know that with global warming, these temperatures are crazy. It's subject to be 90 degrees a day. You turn around and you don't know what's going to happen. Correct. And eventually we have to start addressing global warming. I was in LA recently, and at my friend's house, they had solar panels on their home. Now check this out.
I think that is so smart.
The solar panels energized the house, plus he had an electric car. He plugged his vehicle into the outlet for the house. So not only was it powering the house, it was powering his car. So we got it.
Sustainable.
Right, it's sustainable, it's the sun. So we got to get more into sustainable energy and alternative energy sources, because what we're doing now, we won't survive as a planet, let alone as a state or city. So that would be my focus, preparing Memphis and the infrastructure of Memphis for the 21st century, and truly for the 21st century. Where do we want to go 50 years, 40 years, 30 years from now? Let's make the investment now to make sure that we are not grappling with these same issues 8, 10, 15 years from now, because we will if we don't do anything. Status quo won't survive. So we got to make changes now.
So, give me a scenario. Van Turner is elected Memphis City Mayor. What's your first order of action?
You got
aside from being congratulated by your constituents, aside from your family being so proud of you, aside from you thanking everybody, when you step and sit in that mayor's desk, what's your first plan of action?
Well, obviously, before that, we would have had a transition team, we would have hired a staff, and we would work on the first 100 days. And after the first 100 days, you would get a report from me.
Will I personally do it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm going to come back and tell my
personal invitation.
What the plan of action is.
And we will report out in the first 100 days. We got to tackle public safety crime, which is poverty, underlying all of that. We got to address infrastructure, and we have to address jobs and opportunities. And so you will have a plan of action for all three of those categories, starting with public safety. We know that that's a keen issue, an important issue for us now. Everyone is concerned, but we have to do it in a comprehensive way. Having more officers won't stop the crime. It's a multifaceted approach. We need more officers to suppress, to give us the short-term relief that we need, but we need something that is long-term, something that's going to work over time. We can lock up all the bad people today, but if we don't do something about these young people coming up, they'll replace them in 6 months.
That's our problem. We have, I think, but that comes with lobbying and state policy and all that. But I think one of the big problems is a lot of these kids know they can get away with stuff as long as they're minors. Change that. Make it unaccessible to where they're going to try that young guy for killing the watermelon man. That's not his name. No disrespect to the family. You have my sympathy. But I don't remember his name. But they're going to try him as an adult. And I think a lot of these badass kids need to be tried as adults. They need to understand the consequences of their actions. Now, that comes under, I see what Mr. Mayoral had a dispute with the mayor. And it's interesting that two opinions can cause so much chaos over an issue that needs to be addressed solidarity. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so, because there are too many egos in politics. That's the problem. Yeah. Everybody got an ego. Right. If you're all on the same track to make Memphis a better place, a safer place, a more sustainable place, then come together on ideas. Don't have a pissing contest and who runs what. Do the right thing by the constituents. And that's what a lot of these politicians are not doing. They make promises, and like I tell everybody that's been on my show, The last election I did 12 interviews. I mean, we do about 12. You did 6 or 7, and Lakeithan did 6 or 7. 12 of them won, and they were judges and attorneys and uh, uh, clerks. They won because I want the people to see you. I want the people to be able to sit at home and listen to listen to him, listen to him. But they're going to have the opportunity to listen to all of them. But one thing we left out, and I'm not going to leave this out because I'm a part of that group, and that's seniors. You got a few senior programs in it. Y'all need to do more for us because we made it get to this point. There needs to be more opportunities for seniors, more assistance for seniors. And everything is so uh, it's just messed up, y'all. So that's why you got to make the right choice in this election. You got to know what you're doing. You got to make the so watch these videos and support the candidate that you think is best. Don't wait. You got 3 kinds of voters, and I know because I've run several campaigns. I've worked the polls. I started working the polls, and a candidate saw me running my mouth, and they said, "You need to do more than hand out cards." So it morphed into me managing campaigns. And I think I do pretty well. I've only been in 3 that lost, and I've been in like 9 or 10. Only 3 have lost. But they didn't give up. They came back and won. So what I want to say to that is I'm that person to whomever wins that this election. If you sat here and you said you were gonna do this and do that, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm that one black lady that's gonna come to your office. I'm not gonna stop at the reception desk. I'm gonna make sure you're there because I'm gonna follow you to see that you went up to the office. I'm gonna make sure you're there. You can go up the back way, the mayor's back way. I know the back way. I'm gonna come up the back way, and I'm gonna bypass the reception, and I'm gonna walk in your office and see you lied to me. You ain't done nothing you said you was gonna do, and I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna tell everybody you lied. You see, so I don't believe in promises from politicians because they come a dime a dozen. I believe in action. I look for politicians that are out there doing what they say they're going to do. I look for politicians that have put in the work. Now, what I want you to do, is there anything else you want me to ask you? Is there anything you want to say?
No, man, I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, hold that thought. I want you to look into that camera, and I want you to tell people why they need to vote for Van Trump.
Well, I appreciate Ms. Barksdale for allowing me to sit here with you in the heart of Glenview and talk to her on the veranda about my platform and why I should be your next mayor. I should be the next mayor of Memphis because I have a proven track record of getting the tough jobs done. Memphis is a tough job right now. You have crime, you have infrastructure, you have jobs and opportunities which are right here at Memphis or near Memphis, and we have to make sure we're prepared to take those jobs and opportunities. And these are jobs for the 21st century. Proven track record of getting the tough jobs done. They said the Confederate monuments which stood in Memphis for more than 100 years would never come down. We were able to get those monuments down. They said that Mason would no longer be a city because the state wanted to eliminate Mason. I fought for Mason in the courts. I won that case, and now you still have a Mason, Tennessee. We all were so upset at the video of the death and murder of Tyree Nichols. Ben Crump came to Memphis looking for someone to be an on-the-ground advocate for the family of Tyree Nichols, and he asked the NAACP to get involved. I got involved, and we made sure that we advocated for justice and fairness and transparency for Rovon Wells and her family as a result of Tyree Nichols. And we're still fighting that cause. A proven track record of getting the tough jobs done. From my days as the head of the Democratic Party, to leading the county commission, to leading the NAACP, to practicing law in this very city for 20 plus years, I have the proven track record. I've gotten the tough jobs done, and I'm asking for your vote. When I was 14 years old, I passed my current wife a note at 14 years old on October 23rd, 1989 at Havenview Junior High School. I asked on the note, Tammy, would you, that was my high school, check the box. I said, Tammy, will you circle yes or no? Would you go with me? Drop that 0 and get with a hero. On October 23rd, 1989, I passed that note to Tammy. Tammy circled yes. She made me the happiest man of my life. We were 14. We've been married for almost 21 years now. She was my junior high school sweetheart. On October 5, 2023, I'm going to pass Memphis a note. I'm going to pass Glenview a note. I'm going to pass Orange Mound a note. I'm going to pass Whitehaven a note. I'm going to pass North Memphis a note. South Memphis a note. Hickory Hill a note. And I'm going to ask you to circle yes to me being your next mayor. If you circle yes to Van Turner being your next mayor, I guarantee you I will work every day that I'm in City Hall for you, for the people, for the communities that have been neglected and disinvested, for the people who've been cast aside and forgotten about. We need a change in Memphis. You need the right leader for that change. And that right leader is Van Turner. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for your prayers. I'm asking for your donations. Go to www.vanformemphis.com to find out more about my candidacy and what I stand for. And know this, I stand for the people. I stand for you. I'm asking for your vote on October 5. When I pass you that note, I ask you to circle yes. Thank you very much.
And that does it for an episode on Welcome to the Veranda. Now, this will air on Facebook, on my page. It will also air on Conversations on the Veranda Facebook page and Conversations on the Veranda on YouTube. So share it. There will be other candidates that will be here within the next 2 weeks. Look at all of them. Like I said, this is a personal look. This is a personal peek into that person. I like to know more about a person than them sitting on a stage with 7 other candidates asking specific questions. There are questions I have asked today and will ask in the future that I guarantee you nobody else is going to ask. I'm not going to bash you, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to be yourself, to show the people who you really are. Now, if I don't, at this particular time, I have not endorsed any candidate because I'm giving them all the opportunity to come forth. But at the time that I do, you will know. You will know. And I appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for the next episode of Conversations on the Veranda. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.